Welcome to the No More Late Fees podcast. I'm Danielle.
And I'm Jackie. And we're just two best friends and ex-Blockbuster employees rewatching some of the best and worst movies from the late 90s and early 2000s. This week, we are about to get our nerd on with the Disney father-son classic, A Goofy Movie. And we have our special guest, Maya, here to join us. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Hi.
And if you haven't gotten a chance to listen to our trailer yet to get to know Amaya a little bit better, pause, go check it out, and then come back.
Yeah.
But if you just want to get through this episode and check it out later, Amaya is one of our wonderful mutuals on TikTok. She's also an actress and be still my heart, another 90s enthusiast. So we're very happy to have her on for her favorite movie. One of her, is it your favorite movie of all time, or just your favorite Disney movie?
I say it's my favorite Disney movie, but sometimes I'm like, is it just my favorite movie in general? It might be, but it's like, yeah, it's an E.T., Jurassic Park, Goofy movie. Those three, like, golden. Yes.
Classics.
Love it.
Yes.
And if you want to support the podcast, head on over to patreon.com/nomorelateFees. You can find exclusive content, stickers, Ask Me Anythings, polls, bonus videos, live Spotify playlists, and we will begin doing a Patreon exclusive closing time, which will be almost like a happy hour, like you close the store and go out with your friends and chat with some of our past guests, some of our new friends that we've made, some of our old friends that we've had. And so it should be a really good time.
Well, unless you've been living under a rock, which, I mean, surprisingly, I've met a few people who have never seen a Goofy movie. So let me tell you a little bit about it.
Oh.
I know, shock, but it's true. A
Crazy.
Goofy Movie is the 1995 Disney animated comedy adventure. The film is actually based on the television series Goof Troop, which if you're not a 90s kid and you're a 90s kid and you don't know this, I don't even know. I don't know what to say. The movie takes place 3 years after the events of the show. It follows Goofy and his son Max, who is now in high school, and revolves around the father-son relationship between the two as Goofy embarks on a misguided mission to bond with his son by taking him on a cross-country fishing trip. Starring Bill Farmer, Jason Marsden, Jim Cummings, Kellie Martin, Rob Paulsen, Pauly Shore, Jenna Von Oy, and Wallace Shawn. Written by Jim Magan, Chris Matheson, and Brian Pimentel, directed by Kevin Lima, and you can watch it on Disney+. But before we get started, let's get into our ratings rewind.
So you know the drill. Before we get into the movie, we'll reveal the rating our Y2K versions of ourselves would give. Then at the end, we'll see if our current selves agree with their initial rating. Our scale consists of would buy it again,
The best, would play on repeat,
5-day rental,
would watch again,
2-day rental,
okay, but nothing to write home about,
and same-day rental.
Get those glad bags ready because it's trash.
Dang.
All right, Amaya, what's your Y2K rating?
Oh man, my Y2K rating. I was just so pumped to see it as a kid, and I was just so excited, and I loved it. So I'm just gonna say would buy it again, definitely.
How about you, Jackie? What's your rating?
I have a very special memory of this movie. When I was younger, I would take my youngest cousins and my brother are all boys, and I was kind of tasked with watching them over the summer. And so we took a little walk-in field trip to the movie theater, and we were the only ones in the theater to see a Goofy movie because it was a noon movie on a Tuesday or something. And they were bored before the previews because, I don't know, I didn't time management well, and we got there really, really early. And so they spent their time waiting for the movie to start, like tumbling down the aisles because it wasn't stadium seating at that time. It was just like slightly sloped theater. And so they would just like do somersaults down the aisles and like run back up the aisles and do it again. And one of those cousins was Mark, who is on episode 21, our Jay and Silent Bob episode. So
I love that story. I said Jackie's like the worst babysitter ever, but
they were happy. And Mark still remembers that. And he was really little. I mean, he was born in 90, I think. So he was like 4 or 5 when I took him. So and he remembers it. So that's awesome. So it was definitely a would buy it. We really, really love this movie. I own the soundtrack.
Yes.
I sing every song from top to bottom.
Yes.
It's amazing.
My people.
Well, I had to go run and get this prop. And of course, my green screen is not showing it, which is very sad because I'm very proud of my clamshell VHS of this movie. God dang it. There it is.
Can you put it in front of your face? Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
you have
nice.
Nice.
I'm going to definitely do a video of just opening the chest that has all of my VHSs because I have Mulan. I have everything in there. It's crazy. And you know, these are collectibles for sure. So I guess we're all riding the would buy it train. Yes. Love this. So let's get into the box office of this movie. So the budget for this movie was $18 million and it made $37.6 million worldwide. And for a Disney movie, not great. A Disney animated movie.
Yeah.
This movie was kind of panned as a loss for Disney at the time. But luckily, it did become a sleeper hit and a cult classic as we all know it to be now. But it didn't become a hit until it was on VHS. It was released September 6, 1995. And the audience for the film has grown and grown generation after generation. I think 2020 was its 20th anniversary or no.
Yeah, no, that was 2020. It was its
25th anniversary.
25th or 25th or 26th. Yeah.
It might have been before.
yeah.
I think it was right before the panini happened. They had a whole D23 special panel. And
I was there.
Oh, you were? Oh my God.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
I was there. It was so much fun. Oh my gosh. I was crying. I was like, oh my goodness. And Tevin Campbell performed as Powerline. Well, not as Powerline, but yeah, he performed.
He had the dancers around him and stuff, right? I saw the videos. Okay.
It was crazy. And Jason hooked me up with a ticket. So the whole thing was just like, it was just too much for me. I couldn't deal. I was just like, I almost like, I'm like, oh my God, I was crying. It was so much fun, but definitely look, on, I think it's on YouTube. All of it's on YouTube. So yeah.
Oh wow,
it's so fun. Yeah,
amazing.
Danielle and I over here, when you said you went, we both clutched our pearls.
We were like, my lord, my heart can barely take it.
I could barely if you could ever be like jealous of your past. So I'm like, I'm jealous of past me. I want to go back there and do it again. It was so fun. I want to do it again. It was so fun. Yeah,
that is amazing. Well,
and it's interesting that you said that it didn't really it wasn't a hit for Disney, but it actually wasn't produced by Disney Animation Studios, which does the majority of Disney's releases. It was released under, I think it was Disney Toons Studios. So that was more reserved for all of the straight to TV, or all of the sequels are released under that studio. So it didn't even get its full Disney Animation Studios.
Well, yeah, it wasn't an official, there's 36 animated classic, whatever. It wasn't one of those. So yeah, it's kind of in its weird own little category, if that makes sense. Yeah.
And it got there because there was a shift in leadership. So at the time, if I'm not incorrect, I think it's Katzenberg was in charge at the time, and it was his idea of the movie. He was the chairman of Walt Disney Studios at the time, and he felt distant from his daughter, so he decided to go on a road trip with her, and that actually brought them closer together. So that was kind of where the idea sprung from. But in the process, because we know, well, I didn't say this yet, but this movie took a long time to get made. I mean, that happens a lot with animation as a whole, but I think they started recording in 1992 and it wrapped in early 1995. So they spent a few years on this one. By the time that it was coming out, there was a shift. Katzenberg was gone. So that really stunted the marketing for the movie, because this movie does not have a lot of there wasn't a lot of marketing materials that or merch that was released for this movie. And that was all because of the leadership changes that happened once Katzenberg left. So I think it really hurt the movie because they weren't really marketing it properly. So I think Burger King had a line of toys for it.
I have one of them, yeah.
But other than that and a few other pieces, it really didn't have the full Disney marketing behind it. So I think that also hurt it. But you know what? We still rallied through. We still pushed through, made it a sleeper hit.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think for the most part, it really found its audience once it was on VHS and was readily available to all the millennial consumers.
And even on TV too, because I remember when on Disney Channel and ABC Family and their other sister channel, it was Toon Disney, Goofy movie was almost on every day. I feel like definitely that had a big part to play in it too, because I remember you could see with the guide and what was coming on, and it would say Goofy movie at least every day on one of those channels. I'm like, oh my goodness, living the dream. It's always just on TV. It was a lot. But it was awesome. Yeah.
I actually really, really loved the second movie. And this might be controversial, but I think I like the second movie better than I like the first movie. I think it's also the soundtrack, because I know there was a lot of original songs in this one, but the second one had a ton of disco, and I went through a phase, right? I was obsessed with the 70s at one point in time. And so I was really digging that, the vibes of that movie. So
the Cleopatra song, I love that. Yeah. No, the second one is amazing too. I love it. Yeah.
So good. All right, Jackie, you ready to dive in?
Ready. We open up the movie, and it's as the titles are coming up, we get that classic Goofy yell. And then it is this really weird sequence that doesn't fit into the rest of the movie, where Max be dreaming, and he's dreaming of Roxanne.
And okay, so I have watched this movie a ton of times, and I saw TikTok. Someone said the beginning of the Goofy movie is Max having a wet dream.
Why did you make that?
I think I saw that one. Yeah.
And so when I was rewatching it for this episode, I did pay a little bit more attention. And here's the evidence that I pulled from this scene. He's sleeping. He's walking through a field. And then he, parts through, and he sees Roxanne. Where is Roxanne, by the way, guys?
She's up on a pedestal.
Is it a pedestal, or is it a phallic statue?
Oh my God.
I just had him putting her up on a pedestal.
It wasn't a flower. It was literally this statue thing.
Danielle, what do you think the pedestal was?
I know it's a pedestal. I understand what you're saying, but I feel like, why did it? I get it was.
So you're saying that
I'm not
is
saying,
a visual representation of Roxanne right in that D?
Oh my God.
Okay, so I'm just telling you the evidence that I was able to pick up. And let's not forget, this is from the same studio that put the dicks on the Little Mermaid cover.
True.
And all the different things we've picked up over the years. They're nasty. And they do it under
our noses.
Right. So there's that. Roxanne is also wearing all white, which we all know signifies virginity. And when she falls off the pedestal, she falls on top of Max, right? And then when you see them again, they're both laying around flowers, flowering. And they're just romping around. It's just, watch that scene again and you tell me it's all innocent and butterflies. I'm just,
Man.
I could see it. I can see
Okay.
it. And then it
Okay.
turns
I could see
into a
it too.
nightmare.
Yes.
Oh,
It
goodness.
turns into all of Max's kind of like teeth, big snout. Like essentially he turns into his dad. And
Yeah.
as the yuck. And then
Turned into his dad.
Goofy walks in.
And I think that could speak to him going through puberty and evolving into a man. And who is the only man in his life? It's his dad, and he's
It's his
embarrassed by
dad.
him. So
That's true.
it's his literal worst fear. But sorry, you already doing it, bruh. It's gonna happen.
It's too late. It's gonna happen.
So Max wakes up from his dream. Goofy is walking around in a towel and like his hair wrapped, question mark, his ears
Mhm.
wrapped.
His hair wrapped.
Like singing a little and vacuuming like
Mhm.
and he's just like, good morning, son.
Son.
I could recite this whole movie.
And knock again. Morning, son. Same.
And so-
like playing it. Playing it in my mind.
Yes.
The whole-
And it all like I have not watched this movie in a while, and like it's like a day hasn't gone by.
Well, it was definitely one of the movies that you would play when we were at Blockbuster. It was one of the kid-friendly approved movies that we could watch or have playing while we were working.
Yes.
So it's definitely in my head because of that as well.
That's
So
so cool.
Max is awake trying to get his bearings. His phone rings. It's the Mickey Mouse phone.
How many
Mhm.
Mickey Mouses did you spot in this movie?
One,
Hidden
two.
mouses.
Are there 3 or 4 total?
I'm just asking. I have no idea.
So is the
there's
phone?
the phone.
Was he in
The-
one of the cars when they're driving on the open road?
On the open, he's like hitchhiking or something.
Yes.
Or you eat my dust or
Yes.
wait, yeah. Or something like, and then in the crowd scene where
Yes.
Max is getting in trouble and he's first power line on stage and he's trying to impress Roxanne.
Yeah.
There. Oh no. I think it's the end scene.
It's
actually.
the end
You're
because
right,
they're
it's the end.
they're actually road tripping to the Powerline concert too.
That's right. It's at the end. Yeah.
So PJ calls and he's like, dude, where are you? You're late. Like they have some sort of plan. You don't know what the plan is yet, but PJ is always in a state of panic and worried he's going to get in trouble because his dad's a hard ass.
Yeah, he has full on anxiety because
Yes.
his dad's an asshole.
Yeah. And so Max is like, gosh, I'm late. I got to get going. And Goofy's like, hey, your clothes. Can I do your laundry for you? Max is like, Dad, got to go. Peace. And then we start the first song, After Today. I could recite it. I won't. But my coworker, Brian, pointed out, he's like, the way Max was talking at the beginning of that song, it sounded like he was going to shoot up the school because the first couple of lyrics are they're laughing since I can remember, but they're not going to laugh
anymore. Yeah.
No more Maxie the Geek, no more Goof of the Week like before. And he's like, that's some like
that's scary.
Some vibes.
Yeah.
I was like, I've never thought about it that way, but that makes sense.
There's a TikTok, about that. Some guy pointed it. I was like, oh my goodness, it does sound like that actually.
Oh my
It does.
God.
Yeah.
And it's also, you don't realize, I think like watching it when I was younger, I didn't really pay attention that Max was being bullied. I just thought he was cool, but I thought he's got to be cool to be, breaking the rules, getting all over the place. But no, apparently not.
No.
Yeah.
And so we kind of see a mix of all the students that go to the school. We get some Star Trek geeks. It was the first time that Star Trek has ever been referenced in a Disney movie, and that makes my nerdy heart happy.
There's a few facts that I was like, okay, I know Jackie's going to gravitate to them, and I made sure I stacked them in here. So I'm going to wait and see if you get to all of them.
Okay.
So you passed test 1.
Excellent. And so they get to school and they meet. Max is still performing his song. He's at the end, and then like as he's finishing his song, he tumbles down the stadium stairs, and everyone's laughing at him. So he was cool for a moment because he was like singing and dancing, and now he's just the butt of the joke again. And Roxanne walks up to him and she's like, "Are you okay?" And then he stammers and gets nervous and then kind of just runs away. And she's just like, okay.
Aw.
Nerd.
Nerd alert.
And the next scene is they meet with Bobby, voiced by Pauly Shore.
I was really, really surprised that he did not want his name to be associated with the movie. He asked to have his name be removed, similar to like, because he didn't want it to be
like Don Cheadle.
Well, that was a dispute on like top billing. He just didn't want his name to be there. Something to do with Robin Williams and Aladdin. So
Interesting.
Yeah, he asked his name to be removed. So if you notice, it is not. Let me look.
Wait, why with Robin Williams and Aladdin? I know stuff was going on with him and the genie and Ferngully. Was it during that time?
I think there was just something to the, and I could be wrong, but when I looked it up, it didn't really give too many details, but pretty much that whole situation made him want to take his name off of it. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
I know that.
I mean, they gave him autonomy because he was able to improvise a lot of his dialogue.
Yeah.
So I mean, I feel like it probably wasn't creative differences.
No, I don't think so.
So
Interesting.
Bobby is kind of like the AV TV productions geek. He's getting everything ready. He's welding things, ? He's doing a lot.
There's a lot of wires happening. There's a lot of
carts of equipment,
a lot of falling. Not a lot of coordination between the three. I'm concerned.
And Bobby apparently works for cheese.
Yeah. Who would have thought cheddar, cheese whiz would be?
His payment is literally a bag of easy cheese, which he very excitedly just starts squirting into his mouth. So
Sorry.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
So now all of the students are in the auditorium. It seems like it's kind of like the last day everyone gets together, like have a great summer type thing. Stacy, who is Roxanne's friend, maybe best friend, she seems to be the student body president. She invites everyone over to her house to watch the Powerline concert that's going to be happening on pay-per-view. And after she speaks, everyone like is hooting and hollering. And then Principal Mazer, voiced by Wallace Shawn.
Which I love him so much. So much. I mean,
Mr. Hall.
Mr. Hall. Yes. But for me, it was Princess Bride. That was like my first introduction to him. But I didn't know this was, his first animated movie that he voiced, which is so cool considering how many more he has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he's droning on stage about like what to do to stay out of trouble this summer. You can have science sleepovers.
Science slumber party.
Can we do that? Can we have a science sleepover? That sounds amazing.
That might be our next live that we do while I'm there, is just like buy one of those weird kid science kits and like perform experiments. So PJ having a lot of anxiety. Max is backstage getting ready. And all of a sudden lights go down, they pull a trap door, Principal Mazer falls, and they start playing Stand Out, and Max is behind a screen living his best Powerline dreams, feeling really cool with all the moves, and then he trips over some wires and busts through the screen. And so now he's like, oh shit, everyone really sees me, but like we're gonna ride this wave. Somehow he gets hooked up to a rope. He's swinging around the crowd. Everyone's living for it.
And he pulls
Yep.
it off. Like, even when he's messing up, he still looks cool,
Yes.
Yeah.
but it doesn't
Definitely.
last long.
Um,
I do have a question for both of you guys.
Mhm.
When you saw the Powerline character, which artist did you think they were emulating?
Well, as a kid, when I first saw it, I think I wasn't thinking Bobby Brown, which I know that's who they kind of based the character on, but probably like Michael Jackson mixed with Prince, mixed with Tevin Campbell, probably like a little. I did know of Tevin Campbell before, which is very surprising, but I knew him. And so I don't know, maybe that's why, because I just kind of knew it was already Tevin Campbell. I don't know.
In my mind, because a girl was obsessed with some Tevin. Okay.
Okay, so
The episode in which he came to surprise Ashley
Fresh
on
Prince.
Prince,
Yes.
I cried. I cried because why the fuck does she get to have him come to her birthday and I don't? So I already knew that was his voice.
Yeah.
So I think in my head, I was just like, it's Tevin Campbell. But now I look back and they say that the influences, like you said, Bobby Brown, it was a mixture of Bobby Brown, Prince, and Michael Jackson. Jackie, what did you think?
I think I just leaned towards Michael Jackson because that's what I knew. I hadn't really been exposed to Prince at that point. Like my mom raved about Purple Rain all the time, but I had never seen it.
Right.
I just heard of it. So, but now that I'm older and have exposure, I feel like it's leaning more on the Prince side with the outfit and the stylized hair and everything.
And the girls.
Yes. And the moves of Michael Jackson.
Yes, because he does moonwalk quite a bit. I was surprised Michael didn't ring up Disney and say, run me my check. Like,
Right?
Yeah. So anyway, Max reaches out for Roxanne's hand, about to make that connection, and record scratch, music off. Does the principal take off his glasses? I looked away. Jen.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
So
sure.
well, like unmasks him by taking off his sunglasses, and everyone's like, "Oh,
whoa, we're busted!"
Yeah.
And Pauly, sure, yeah.
Goof boy!"
Yeah, that's. I love it.
So now Max is in the principal's office, and we see Goofy works as like a photographer, a studio photographer, but like in a Kmart because
like
there's
a Kmart
special.
Mm-hmm.
And Pete seems to be his boss, but is not very good at his job.
No,
Pete was Michael Scott before Michael Scott, but a bit.
So Pete, Goofy, that he and PJ are going camping, and it's the way he kind of keeps tabs on PJ and makes sure that he's like continues to be a good boy. It's very sus. Like it doesn't make me feel good.
It's not
that
not
relationship.
Very healthy. Yeah.
No.
The way
What bothers me about this movie is that Pete's wife and daughter aren't in it, and I never understand why, because if this is a continuation of Goof Troop, they're pivotal parts of that show, and I'm like, I love that his wife would check his ass and she wasn't in it.
I know. I remember that as a kid too, because I was a huge Goof Troop fan. And so, yeah, obviously seeing the trailers, and I remember thinking maybe they'll be in the movie because I didn't see them in the trailers. And I'm like, oh, maybe like, what's her name? Peggy and Pistol, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And so I was like, okay, cool. This is exciting. And then they weren't in it. And I was like, where did they go? Where did they go? I wanted to see them, but I don't know why.
And I mean, it could have been real easy to just have one scene where it's like, we're doing a boys trip. And then like the rest of the movie is just him and PJ. But that didn't happen. Yeah, they disappeared.
I wonder if there's like deleted scenes or something that we haven't seen, and maybe they're in there. Maybe.
I don't know. They talked about a few characters that did some scenes and were scrapped, like Chad. So Chad was in the movie a little bit more. He was supposed to
Joey Lawrence, right?
Yeah. He was supposed to be like play a bigger role and kind of fighting for Roxanne's affections, but they scrapped that. So there are scrapped things. So maybe.
Yeah.
We only see Chad in one scene, and I think it's right after Stacy invites everyone to the party where he's like, hey, Roxanne, you want to go to the party, Stacy's party with me? And I was like,
Mhm.
this is familiar, but then like, yeah, I had to read the notes to be like, oh yeah, it's because it's Joey Lawrence.
Mhm.
And it makes sense because Stacy is voiced by Jenna Von Oy, who they co-starred in Blossom together.
It's a little Blossom reunion.
Now we see PJ is in the principal's office. Max and Bobby are sitting outside, kind of waiting. This is where we get the Leaning Tower of Cheese because Bobby's unbothered. He has his cheese. He's in his happy place.
I just feel sad because I feel like our time frame, we're not going to get enough Pauly Shore.
Yeah, I do really enjoy Pauly Shore. So now Stacy and Roxanne are walking down the hall. Roxanne sees Max waiting to get into trouble, essentially. And Stacy's like, go talk to him, invite him to the party, blah, blah, blah. And so Roxanne goes and starts talking to Max, and she's like, I really liked your dancing. Do you want to go to the power line or Stacy's party together? And so now Max is kind of perked up, like, I'm in trouble, but it may have been worth it because now we get a date.
Definitely.
And then the principal calls Goofy and tells him all this shit that didn't happen. Like, he was like a gang member. He caused a riot.
Just remember how uptight white people would get about baggy pants.
Baggy clothes. Yes.
Why?
Yes.
And he was in a skin tight suit. It wasn't like Powerline's outfit is literally just like a skin tight yellow bodysuit.
Right.
That's long sleeves and has like some rings around the neck and the cuffs. That's it. And some sunglasses.
Well, Jackie, do you know what the inspiration behind the outfit was?
I read.
Okay, just pretend you don't know.
Okay. I don't know, Danielle.
All right. See now.
I don't know.
See, okay. Do you know? Okay, thank you.
Wait, I surprisingly know. What's the inspiration?
Thank you. I'm glad you asked in a very authentic way. I guess they were, I'm not saying mocking, but inspiration was from the band Devo. They would wear these kind of yellow suits, radiation hazmat suits or whatever. So that's where it came from. Which I just think is really odd when you're saying, okay, I'm taking inspiration from Prince, I'm taking inspiration from Michael Jackson and Bobby Brown, but I'm going to go after Devo.
That's so, I guess he was just so a weird blend of everything, and like, which is so weird. I just thought of that. Yeah, that is interesting. Devo, and then Prince, and then, okay, that's a lot.
Sorry, Jackie, go ahead.
No, you're good. Sorry, I'm highlighting as we go. So yeah, the principal was like, you need to get control of your son before he ends up in the electric chair, essentially. And Goofy's like,
so extra.
Goofy's like, oh my gosh, I'm parents, I need to do something. And so he kind of takes inspiration from some toys he sees at his work. And he's like, I'm gonna take my son fishing. And so
nailed it.
Been practicing for many, many years. And so Max gets home, and Max is on cloud nine because he like, goal accomplished. Roxanne knows who I am. We're going to this party together later in the summer. And Goofy's packing up the car. He's like, oh, where are you going, Dad? And he's like, I'm going fishing. And Max is like, oh, with who? And he's like, my best pal. And so Max is like, oh, Donald Duck. Donald Duck. No, silly, with you. And Max is just like, that zoomed in.
And he faints and like, yeah, it's so
I
good.
didn't know that Goofy and Donald were besties.
I mean, I thought they just were all this. Yeah, like Mickey, Donald. But yeah, I didn't know Donald specifically.
Right.
I guess if you have to pair them because Mickey has Minnie, then Goofy has Donald.
Right.
But Donald has Daisy.
Oh, yeah, that's true too.
Yeah, I don't know.
And Pluto is another dog, but
but not.
Doesn't
But yeah, but
speak.
he's like, yeah, that's a whole nother
That
conversation.
used to confuse me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now Max is unhappy. Goofy's like, I'm giving you our like family fishing pole that's handed down from generation to generation. Why is Max just finding out now that he comes from a line of fishermen?
He probably just didn't care.
Mhm.
His dad probably talked about it and he was just like, okay.
Zoned out. Like,
So
Yeah.
now the plan is to go to Lake Destiny to get away from it all, as Goofy puts it. And so from the map, and Goofy has this old map from like when his dad used to take him fishing when he was little. So according to the map, they live in Columbus, Ohio, and they're going to the West Coast of the United States. And Max is like, I don't want to go. This is stupid. I don't want to do this. And so Goofy starts laying her on real thick, like, okay, I guess I'll go all alone and I'll fish all alone. And so
Max is like, I guess so.
Sure. And call Donald.
Yeah.
And so that obviously doesn't work to convince Max. And so it was kind of just an argument. And finally, Goofy's just like, get in the damn car, we're going fishing. And so Max is very pouty in the passenger seat. And I guess Max convinces his dad to swing by Roxanne's house so that he can at least tell her, I can't go to Stacy's party with you. And so he goes, and her dad just grunts. He's very intimidating, but Max is able to talk to Roxanne and tell her that he's supposed to tell her the truth, but instead what happens is she's like, oh, I'll find someone else to go with. And he doesn't want that to happen. So he makes up this story about how his dad and Powerline used to be in a band together and that he gets to be on stage during the big number at the Powerline concert. And I really hope that you don't invite someone else because I want to wave to you while I'm on stage. And so she's like, oh yeah, that sounds awesome. Have fun.
Wait, so I can't go with anyone else. So you won't wave at me if I go with someone else. What kind of fuckery is this?
Yeah. What kind of manipulate? Yeah.
Not a great look, Max. Not a great. Max makes a lot of poor decisions.
Yeah.
Throughout this movie.
He's a teen boy, though.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. So now we are on the open road. So this is our second song, and at first they're fighting over. Goofy tries to play card games with Max. Max isn't having it, and so then Max puts his music on the radio, and Goofy puts his music, and they're fighting over, and they break the radio. So then Goofy starts jamming to like the beats in the car, and then we get on the open road. And now we're at Lester's Possum Park.
Okay, I'm gonna say this, and I'm not sure if we've talked about this on the show yet, but Danielle don't like the critters, and I don't care if they're animated or not. Them being animated makes it a little less like me having a reaction, but I don't like this part ever in the movie, and I always fast forward it. It is my worst nightmare. And then they all like gather around to heckle him. Possums are in his clothes. It's very traumatizing.
He's like
and then,
dancing.
And you gotta walk through this mouth with these teeth. Oh no. Not loving it. And not loving it.
And it's dark and stormy. That doesn't help the whole thing for you.
Yeah, so I really, really want to sing the whole song because I love Lester's Possum Park.
Same.
But yeah, the only thing I will add to this synopsis, there is a man sitting behind Max and Goofy that has a full-on neck beard. That's all it is. Just a neck beard. I could not look at anything else but neck beard man. So That's the only other thing that I noticed. There's Possum Park. And Goofy the whole time, he thinks Max is having fun because he's literally, one of the lines is like, you've got a possum in your pants. Max, in fact, has an actual possum in his pants and is hopping around. And Goofy is like, oh, we're having fun now, son.
No.
No.
This situation.
Yeah.
I think I would have had a full on panic attack. Like there, I don't even know if I could live in this body anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do a skin transplant, but
oh my God.
There's just no way.
Yeah. It's crawling on you and
oh Jesus. Oh, and they can't see shit. Oh Lord. Oh.
Your nightmare. You're like my worst nightmare.
Oh, I'm itching thinking about it. Let's move to the next scene.
So yes, Max gets very angry at Goofy in the scene and he's like, I just want to get away from you. So Goofy is sad.
It's such a heartbreaking.
It is. So they go and they kind of pull up to their first camping spot. They're going to do some fishing practice and they have just a little like A-frame tent, nothing fancy. Well, then here comes this giant ass RV driving over them, pop outs galore. There's a bowling alley. There's a swimming pool.
Crazy.
I love, so
glamping.
Yes, before glamping was a word, before we even really knew what that was, all I knew was when Jackie would say, oh, let's go camping. I was like, is it like Pete?
He was bougie AF.
Right? For him to be all manly, man, he certainly was hella bougie with his camping. So,
He had steaks. I was hanging with
Pete. Why is PJ having to buff the floors?
Gotta teach the kids to work. Gotta teach them kids to work early.
Yeah.
So yes, obviously Pete and PJ happen upon Goofy and Max is happy because at least he has his friend.
Right.
Pete has this conversation with Goofy about how like you have to put your foot down because Goofy's kind of telling him it's not going well so far. And Pete's like, you have to put your foot down, put your thumb on him, like tell him who's boss type thing, or else he's going to turn into a bad kid.
I just want to know, is anyone taking advice from Pete on how to rear children?
No.
Right.
So social services need to be called immediately.
Right.
Yeah. Poor
if
PJ.
his wife were there,
right,
in a whole different story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Goofy comes out and he's like, Max, we're going fishing. And Max is like, yeah, maybe later. And Goofy is like, no, right now we're going fishing. And so now they're in the water. They're trying to fish. They're using one of Pete's steaks as like their bait. And they happen to catch Bigfoot.
Right. Is what you're gonna catch when you're trying to throw steak out there. Like, and not even into the water.
No. And Max is like, it's fucking Bigfoot, Dad. Like, let's GTFO. And Goofy's like, recording. I'm like, could you back up, Mr. Foot? You're out of focus. Like,
this part always annoyed me, even as a kid. Why, if you have the fishing pole, you need two hands. You're pulling in a big catch here. Why did you take the camera from Max and now you are doing the fishing pole in one hand and you're trying to record? Like, that never made any sense to me.
Yeah.
Fair. Fair assessment. So now Bigfoot's chasing them and essentially they get trapped in their car. Bigfoot has the keys. He chucks them. And they can't get out. He's going through all their shit. He's doing little sock puppeties.
He was being a little extra.
Yes. Danielle got her disco.
I did. I was very excited that there was a disco hit in this. And
Max is like, hey, we're going to be famous. We're going to be rich. We got the only video of Bigfoot. No, Bigfoot destroys the tape. And in the process of Bigfoot going through all of their stuff, he throws a can of alphabet soup on the hood of the car. And so Max is very hungry. And so Goofy's like, oh, well, let's at least get you fed. And he's like, remember, it was Hi Dad soup. And I guess Max used to spell out Hi Dad with the little letters. And so that was kind of like a little moment where Max was like, oh yeah, I do remember that. And Goofy's trying to connect with him on some level. And so they end up sleeping in the car overnight. And then Bigfoot crawls on top of the car and goes to sleep. So they can't even like sneak out once he's asleep because he's right there. And Bigfoot and Goofy both snore. So Max is awake. He kicks the glove box in frustration, and the map pops out and a pencil pops out. And he's like, I have an idea. I'm just going to rewrite this map to go to LA instead of Lake Destiny. Doesn't Dad know where Lake Destiny is?
Yeah.
Been there before.
I think this goes into the category of it's Goofy.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah. He's just trusting
Yeah.
and very, poor little goof.
And then as he's like redrawing the map, Goofy seems to wake up, but he really just asks, how many cups of sugar
does it take to get to the moon?
I am
Best.
the only one in this episode who does not know all the words of this movie.
It's so good.
I love this. This is like one of my favorite. And I have a Hi Dad soup shirt that I always rock.
Oh, I love that.
Yes, from Box Lunch. I love it. I wear it all the time.
Can I ask a question? Because
Sure.
all right. So this world that they live in, we know Mickey and Donald exist in this world, but all we're seeing are the dogs. We're not seeing the other species of, because like when I was younger, I would love, my favorite ones to watch were the Donald Duck and Daisy Duck videos, and in their world it would be just ducks in their like neighborhood. So now I'm asking, is it segregation? And are they like the first integrated group of friends, but they still go to their respective neighborhoods? And I'm very confused because and is Mickey famous in this world like he is in our world because they have a Mickey phone, or is it that he was just a friend and he made his own phone? I have questions, and y'all have to answer it.
Those are good ones.
The MCU, and there's just a multiverse, and somehow they cross the multiverse threshold, but we're in like the Goof verse right now.
Goof first.
But then how do they know each other?
I don't, maybe Mickey has special powers. Who knows? He was a sorcerer in Fantasia for a little while. He could have broken the time
That's true.
barrier. I don't know.
What is this? Is this called the like Mickey Cinematic Universe?
Right?
MCU.
See you. I mean, it's Disney now, so it's possible that they're in the Marvel universe, and there just happens to be a Mickey universe and a Donald universe and a Goofy universe.
Wow.
Yeah,
my mind, man. My mind.
Because I prefer these answers over segregation.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
glad I made you happy.
Oh, Maya, we lost you.
No. And there we go.
You're back.
Okay. I'm back. That was my mom calling me.
Sorry, Mama.
Sorry, Mom. I'm busy, Mom.
Well, sorry for the interruption. I just had questions. It was
no, that's a very fair question. When I was thinking that they were segregated, and made my booty hole pucker a little bit because I did not like that at all.
Same. Yeah.
So now we're at a diner. Goofy makes this grand gesture that Max is now in charge of the map. And unbeknownst to him, Max has changed the map, and so it makes it really awkward, and he's just standing there and all the diner patrons are applauding, and so he's just like, thanks, Dad.
Awkward.
But within this, Goofy gives him autonomy and is like, you can choose what we do leading up to like Destiny. He's like extending that olive branch, and like, and there's a montage of fun. They go jet skiing, they go to an amusement park, They get to stay at some hotel that's like aquatic themed.
Yeah, those water beds were cool. And there was a Little Mermaid light switch.
Little light
was,
switch.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
really cool.
That was cool.
Max picked some good places for them to go.
He did. And then Pete and PJ show up again. Why, if you have an RV, are you at a motel?
He had to power up, Jackie, for free because he cheap.
Yep, you had to plug it in. He's
And
like, oh, you hardly notice it. And it's like this huge like cord. Yeah.
And if they're off course, how do they keep finding them? Because we don't have cell phones.
They're not off course yet.
Oh,
because remember that comes later when Goofy's like, which way? So Pete and Goofy decide to go for a dip in the hot tub. And so Max confides in PJ that like he changed the map and stuff, but big old Pete's listening, eavesdropping on the combo. So toxic.
Yeah.
And so then Pete goes and tells Goofy, and like Pete tells Goofy the truth. Like it's what he shares is not unfactual. However, he starts gaslighting into Goofy into thinking that his child is horrible.
Right.
And he's just a bad kid and stuff. And it's just like, no, Max is a teenage boy who's trying to figure out like how to navigate. I have all of these things I want to do. My dad's still trying to make connections with me. How do we work that out?
Yeah.
And so, but Pete tells him, go and check the map. And of course, Goofy does and sees that the course has been altered. So he's really upset and disappointed. And then the next day when they're back on the road, it's kind of the junction of, okay, left to LA, right to Lake Destiny. He's like, which way, son? Which way? At the last minute, Max chooses LA. And so then now he's even more disappointed and upset because Max is now knowingly lying to him to get him to go to LA. So he pulls over the car and they start arguing. And Max tries to talk to him and kind of like repair some of the situation.
And
Goofy
explain,
shuts it.
right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
To say why he's doing this, which I feel like it sucks that he couldn't tell his dad, hey, I like this girl. I lied, all this stuff. And he just doesn't feel, I guess, maybe safe to tell his dad.
Yeah, exactly. And so as they're arguing, they're kind of up on a hill and the car starts rolling away. And so Max is trying to tell Goofy, like, hey, car. And he's like, oh, what, you want to drive now too? And
I love a sassy Goofy.
I know, right? Had a little sass.
And so they both jump onto the car. It's locked. They're arguing. They're blaming each other. And it rolls off a cliff into a river. And so now they're just floating on the top of the car down the river. And that's the next song. Nobody else but you.
Nobody else but you. And singing Max, because Jason Marsden wasn't, the voice of the singing Max, but Aaron Lore was the singing voice. And he's married to Idina Menzel. Yeah.
Oh my God. You mean one of the Bash brothers from the Mighty Ducks?
Mighty Ducks. Yes, that's him.
That's what I know him from.
That's what you know him from. Yeah. But he's with I think they just got married like a couple years ago or something. Like that. Yeah. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, he's got a great voice.
And apparently Jason can sing. I guess they just wanted it to be more of an actor who, like a Broadway actor. That's why they did it. But at the D23 event, didn't Jason do a duet? Didn't he like sing?
Yeah, he did. And I was so excited because someone said, oh yeah, stick around. I think there's going to be, another surprise. And it was Jason and Bill Farmer, and they sang the song for the first time ever together, because Jason had never sang it. And he had a great voice. I was like, oh my gosh, Jason, you totally could have, provided the singing voice. But yeah, it was great. Definitely recommend checking it out on YouTube.
And Goofy's car is an AMC Pacer. The elementary school director Kevin Lima was located around the corner from an AMC dealership. So he kind of brought some of that past into the movie with him.
Jackie has found clue number 2.
Danielle knows I love to point out what kind of make and model. My husband is a mechanic by trade, so I'm always like pointing out or asking him, what kind of car is that?
And for the rest
so
of
cool.
us, it's a yellow car.
I'm like, oh, that yellow car they had. Yeah. There you go.
So during the course of the Nobody Else But You song, they kind of start to repair their relationship and kind of start to understand where each one is coming from. And they have a discussion about how Max just wanted to stay home. And Goofy's like, I was just trying to take you fishing. And Max is like, I have my own life now. And Goofy's essentially like, I just want to be a part of it. And so that's why I planned this trip. So they have a better understanding and kind of are repairing that relationship. And Goofy understands how important this is to Max. And so he's like, okay, well, let's get you on stage now. Like, we're going to recalibrate and we're going to get going in the right direction. And I'm going to help you type thing. And as Goofy is like proclaiming this, like, okay, Max, you win. We're going to LA to go to Powerline. Max is kind of like, Dad, and Goofy literally says, why do you think I'm always going to lead you into some sort of calamity? And there's a waterfall. So the car goes over. Goofy's able to get on the shore. He has his fishing pole. He's trying to catch Max. It's not working out. Is somehow able to finagle a rope and a tarp into like a parachute. So he starts floating gently down. Goofy doesn't make it. He goes over the waterfall, but Max has the fishing pole now. And so he reaches into the depths of his brain and remembers the perfect cast and is able to save Goofy from impending death.
And it's very scary in this part. It's very scary because, you know, when Goofy falls, it's just clouds. We don't even know if it catches. I mean, why are we out here playing with our lives? First of all, I know it's a cartoon, but there's no way in hell that these two would have survived the fall in the first place. The car, the fact that they're able to continue to drive this damn car, how?
Yeah.
How does this happen?
You're right.
Only in a Disney movie, only in a Disney animated film. Yeah. Never.
So now they make it to LA. Yeah, somehow they still have their car, even though it went over a waterfall. Math ain't mathin' on that one.
No.
The math.
They kind of hide to get in backstage. The security guards kind of catch on. So one's chasing after Max. Goofy ends up under the stage. And Powerline is doing and comes up through the middle of the stage. And Max is like still on the run. And he's like, Dad, do the perfect cast. And so Goofy's like, okay. And so he does the perfect cast, which happens to look like a dance.
And just for y'all who are just listening, Jackie just did like 5 of the dance moves. So if you want to see that, like, go to our YouTube channel at No More Late.
I want to see
and watch.
I had the thought of like, how hard would it be to learn the perfect cast? But I have no rhythm, so I'm sure it would be very hard for me to learn.
I mean, I could be the choreographer and be like 1 and 2 and Jackie, the two. Start from the beginning.
And there's a point. So Max kind of grabs a rope and swings down because he's like in the scaffolding. He swings down, lands on stage. They all perform the perfect cast together. His friends are watching at home and they're like, that's my boy, yo. And Roxanne is super happy. PJ and Pete are still camping and they see them on screen and Pete's like, can't believe what's happening.
He spits out his
and he spits
drink.
out.
Yeah.
Was that beer?
It's a beer.
He was drinking?
It's a beer.
Yeah. And there's a lot of electronics getting messed up in this scene because how are we spitting water on your TV though?
Yeah.
I mean,
water.
beer. Yeah.
Beer.
Yeah. I mean, Pete has photography money, apparently.
Kmart ain't paying.
No objects.
Wait a minute, wasn't he a car salesman though?
Yes, in Goof Troop. Yeah, so I don't know why they're both working at the photo place.
Just remember
Maybe
that.
they were
That's
doing
random.
a gig economy before we
It
knew what that
could
was.
be. Yep, that's so true.
I know
Probably.
the script went under a bunch of revisions. One of the early drafts had different destinations for Goofy and Max to drive cross country, and including getting to Hawaii and getting on a game show called America's Funniest Gladiators. I'm glad that
Whoa.
yeah.
Well, they changed a lot about the movie, because originally this was literally supposed to be like called like a Goof retelling. So it was going to be a movie version of the TV show. But after the what's the duck movie? The DuckTales TV show that they turned into a movie earlier did not do well. They decided to scrap it and then made a Goofy movie. So I think they tried to keep some things, but not everything, I suppose. Which
here is my hot take. DuckTales Treasure of the Lost Lamp is
amazing.
A very fine piece of animation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
I haven't seen it in forever, but yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so good.
Definitely just a marketing issue.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
So now we're back home. Car's falling apart, but Goofy is insistent that Max kind of come clean to Roxanne. So they're at Roxanne's house and Goofy tells her the truth. And she's kind of like, why would you lie to me? And he's like, I just wanted you to like me. And she's like, ever since I first heard you laugh, I've liked you. And so she's liked him all along, and it makes me so happy.
That's so cute. Oh, I remember that in the theater too. I'm like, oh.
And I love that, like, she loves the thing that he perceives as an insecurity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that someone with buck teeth could find someone to love them, because I was very self-conscious about my front teeth growing up. So I love that.
Oh, that's true. That's beautiful. I know she loved him for who he was, or liked him at least for who he was that whole time. Yeah.
And they make plans. They're going to go on a date tomorrow because he was busy that night. He was going to hang out with his dad.
He made his dad a priority.
He did.
I know. That's
lessons learned. Yeah, lessons learned all around.
Yep.
So proud of you, Maxie.
Yeah, Maximilian.
And the last shot of the movie is the bumper falls off the car. Goofy's shoving it back on, and then the car has just had it, and it explodes. Launches Goofy into the air. You hear that classic Goofy, and he kind of falls through like the porch roof of Roxanne's house. And Max is like, Roxanne, I'd like you to meet my dad, Goofy. And then
Enchanté. And then
I love it. And that is a Goofy movie.
Yay!
Do 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 end credits.
Okay, so let's go over some of I don't think there's too many facts that we forgot, but there's some fun casting ones that we should catch on. So Jackie, obviously you were doing an amazing Goofy impression. They were going to change Goofy's voice in this movie.
They wanted, I remember that. Yeah, they were trying to, because he had a lot of dialogue and it was kind of the tone of the script. I don't know. They were trying to have him not sound like Goofy and just be a regular man or something.
It was Jeffrey Katzenberg again. He wanted Goofy's classic drawl to be gone, and Bill Farmer didn't agree, but he kept it quiet. You know, you're not going to tell the chairman, but CEO Michael Eisner and Roy E. Disney, nephew to Walt, they listened to the first few recordings, and the next thing you know, Michael Eisner was like, yeah, you get back on that mic and you bring us back Goofy.
You do it the right way.
Yeah, that's so, I can't even imagine. Oh, that would just feel so different. And like, for what? I mean, we know Goofy. Like, just have him be Goofy.
Could you imagine just all of us tiny tots sitting around, be like, who's that? I mean, they calling him Goofy, but that's not Goofy.
That's not my Goofy. I don't know.
That's an imposter.
Yeah.
I think it would have made the movie not do well at all. Like I think we would have definitely been upset.
Yeah. So A Goofy Movie was Jason Marsden's first voice role in a full-length film, and he has voiced Max Goof in all of the characters' appearances following A Goofy Movie, save for Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas, where Max appears as a small child.
Oh, nice. Oh, I just want at Disneyland and Disney World the Max and the Goof that walk around and Goofy.
Yes.
They keep having Max in like Goof Troop Max outfit, you know, the red and the purple or whatever. I'm like, just have him be Goofy Movie Max, because I mean, I feel like Goofy Movie, we're all like up to date that film is a huge film that we hold in our hearts, and so I'm like, just have him have the red hoodie and the jeans, or at least the Powerline get up.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah. Just all around. That's what I want. So another fact is that PJ's initials stand for Pete Jr. after his dad.
A simple name for a simple man.
There you go.
But the
Very,
trauma
very true.
that name holds. If I were PJ, I'd be changing my name
immediately.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, this one is interesting. It's juicy. So Bobby Brown was originally set to voice Powerline and had already recorded some of the songs for the character, but was fired due to substance abuse issues. Some of the songs that Bobby did do for the movie were revamped and ended up on his Forever album.
Really? I didn't know that.
I'll have to go take a peek.
Yeah.
I wonder which songs. That's really interesting, huh?
Yeah. The nuns that frequently show up are inspired by the movie Sister Act and include caricatures of Whoopi Goldberg and Kathy Najimy.
Oh,
yeah, I remember you see them kind of everywhere at that diner. They're sitting in the seats behind them, which is, I was like, oh. Once I read the fact and I watched, I was like, that's about right. And
then later, Jason and her would work together in a Hocus Pocus. Or no, actually, no, that was before. That was 93. So yeah, they had worked together. Hocus Pocus. Yeah.
I love that.
I love that movie.
If you don't know that the voice of Max, the actor who is the voice of Max, is also the voice of Binks. Is that the cat?
Yep.
Yeah, Binks.
You got it.
Focus.
Yeah.
Max's transformation into his dad during the opening nightmare sequence was inspired by An American Werewolf in London. So kind of paid homage to that. Tell us about Tevin Campbell, Danielle.
My man. So Tevin Campbell only needed a couple takes to record the Powerline songs, because you know what? When you are that bitch, you don't need more than 1 or 2 takes.
Yep.
Unlike myself, who've had to re-say like 10 freaking lines this episode alone.
So Bill Farmer, who is the voice of Goofy, said he recorded the movie off and on for close to 2 years. Like we said earlier, it took a long time for this movie to wrap.
Wow. Another interesting factoid. At one point, Steve Martin was actually considered for the voice of Goofy. Can you imagine?
Why? I feel like Bill Farmer's always been Goofy. Why change it?
They were rolling a lot of dice out, and
they were, because they felt this is a theatrical release, so we gotta like
get
up our game or something. That's so. I'm so glad.
I mean, I love Steve Martin, but can he even do the voice of Goofy?
I think it would have just been Steve Martin's voice, which would have been disappointing. The Powerline songs were recorded at Prince's studio in Paisley Park. Rosie Gaines, a member of Prince's group, has a solo in the song Eye to Eye, and the backup singers were the gospel singers, The Waters.
Look at that. Prince has his hands on so many things. We just are still learning.
Didn't know that. Wow.
All right. Well, let's get into our ratings.
Yeah.
You guys ready?
Ready.
Because this is going to be so hard. Maya, we'll start with you.
I'm going to have to just see it through all the way. Fight again, man. I just feel like forever and always, even as I watch it as an adult, I still think it holds up. I still think it's a great story. The voice acting, the music, everything. Yes. Again and again.
Jackie?
Would buy it again. I own it on iTunes, like most of my stuff. But I mean, it's a great movie, has a fantastic soundtrack. It just makes me happy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick beside him.
That's my man.
Definitely would buy again. And what I can say about this movie that really, it's funny as you get older how you look at things differently. I know this is a father-son movie, but it feels very much like a movie for my mom and I, because I grew up with my mom being a single parent, and we used to take road trips every year, not always driving. We would take an Greyhound to Atlanta every year. And let me tell you, nothing bonds you more than being on a Greyhound for hours. And so I feel like it felt so real to the experience of when you're becoming a teenager and you just are trying to find yourself and find independence. And for your parents, it's very difficult. You had this kid who just everything, they depended on you, and then now they don't need you as much. It can cause some friction. And I just love that they were able to communicate and build a new relationship. And I feel like my relationship with my mom has been very similar. We're always evolving our relationship as we continue to change. And so I think that's also another reason this movie just really hits home for me.
It's so interesting you say that, because I mean, identical, same, because that was definitely me. And that's why I really connected to the film. My mom was a single parent, and I went to a Catholic private school, so everyone was a little uppity. And so my mom was kind of the eccentric one out of the group. So not looking back, not at all really, but at the time as a kid I felt kind of like Max, like, oh god, mom, you're embarrassing me, oh god,
right.
Mom, you're doing that, and looking back so silly. And now I just appreciate it so much more now. And my friends at the time looking back, they're like, no, your mom was awesome, we loved going to your house, and your mom was so cool and different and out there. And so and I always did relate to Max in that way. And definitely, but my mom and I definitely over the years have bonded and had a stronger relationship. And I love my mom so much. And we actually watched a Goofy movie for the first time together a couple years ago.
Oh, I love
yeah,
that.
she had never actually seen it with me. So she really loved it too. So
that's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, Amaya, thank you again for joining us. We've had so much fun, especially since, we love when people are really passionate about a movie that we're doing together. Why don't you tell everybody how they can find you on social for your lovely 90s content?
Yes, thank you. Yes, you guys can find me on TikTok at Amaya Fleur / Fresh Nostalgia. That's also a possible name that I'm throwing out there. But yes, Amaya Fleur. And I'm not really on Instagram as much. So definitely just more so TikTok. Yeah.
Awesome. And if you guys have any feedback on this episode, you have questions like, I had a lot of questions this episode, then definitely hit us up on our social handles at No More Late Fees on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, or YouTube.
And you can also hit us up at our quick drop 909-601-6653, 909-601 and MLF. You can also leave a voicemail on our anchor.fm account. We're happy to hear anything. Tell us how your weekend went. Give us your best Goofy scream impression for Danielle to relive her worst video game nightmare. Just call in. We'd love to hear from you, and you could be featured on a future episode.
Except no damn pictures of critters. Don't think that shit is funny coming in our inbox, because I've got some real severe Maury Povich kind of fears. Don't do it to yourself. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Anywho, but if you love this podcast and you think other people should love it too and listen, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. And stay tuned for next week as we go on an adventure with Woody and Buzz for Toy Story.
Yay.
Love it. Sounds so fun.
And as always, be kind and rewind.
Hello, kids of the 80s, 90s, and beyond. Radical Ryan Hunter here from the Radical Retro Rewind podcast. Join me along with everyone's favorite brother, David, and the movie geek Rob every Friday as we discuss everything from movies, TV, video games, music, action figures, and more. Every week's another adventure. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and most podcasting platforms. Hope to see you there, radical ones.